Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. I wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. We're back from hiatus. We'll see how long this lasts because I am currently in my second full day without power at my house. I'm recording from my car, and it's not working great. So, folks, how y'all doing this week?
We're doing good, man. So glad to be back here and doing the show again. It was feels like a lot longer than 2 weeks since we've done this, but you could just come inside the Applebee's at True Love and I. You don't have to sit in your car. It's okay.
They won't let me.
Damn.
Well,
I've been banned,
server's still mad at you from the other week.
Yeah, a lot has happened. So.
Well, we don't have a lot of racing to talk about this week. I mean, there's a few things, but I mean, I'm sure you're all anticipating our reaction to the big news that broke right after our last episode. We did it, folks. Corey LaJoie is out of the 7 car.
We did it.
I cannot
for
say
the table to celebrate.
That's true. You really got to get in here, man. This thing is spectacular.
I can't explain how excited I was when that news broke, and it was such a fun 24 hours on social media. I mean, after the Pocono thing, it was incredibly fun with everyone shitting on Corey, and everyone celebrating Corey's firing was just as fun. So,
I mean, I gotta be honest, it came as a complete shock. Like, I expected this to happen at some point. I didn't have much faith in Corey to turn it around next year, but I thought he was going to get at least 1 year in the 7 with Rodney at the helm and get that. I didn't expect it to be so abrupt, which was definitely a shock to me. How about you, True Love? How are you feeling in our moments of?
I'm still riding that high. I mean, it was when they announced Rodney to the 7. It did feel like they weren't like pushing that news as like a joint thing. Like they obviously said that he was going to be the 7 and LaJoie, but it didn't seem like they were really pushing that news. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice it at the time, but in retrospect, it was definitely cryptic enough to, like, not so fast, bitch. It's not yours.
So
it was great. Yeah, we had a lot to say. We almost did an emergency episode when this happened, but we're like, you know what? Let's save it for the next week, and then we ended up not doing one because we had the episode with Stacey we had to get out, and so here we are. We've all calmed down a little bit, but definitely the mood in this Applebee's is still celebratory. It's vibrant. Yep. It's excited. It's electric in here. I'm telling you, it's fucking great.
And I don't know if you guys listened to it because I had to force myself to, but his
absolutely not.
Nope, not a chance.
His Woe Is Me podcast, where he made a bunch of excuses and talked about how he still wants to be in a winning car and all this other stuff was also very fun.
Good luck with that.
Stacking hopes and dreams.
Yeah, it's so funny because everybody's like, well, now what's he gonna do? Like, I don't fucking know, and I don't really give a shit. Fucking go back to ARCA. I don't fucking know, man. Like, you failed. You fucked up. It's done. So
well, the big rumor right now is that Justin Haley, despite saying he was loyal to Rick Ware by bond of blood, it sounds like he's moving somewhere else. It sounds like he might be getting the 7. That was the big rumor, but there's a few other places he could end up, and Justin Haley is definitely a hot property, if you will.
But sounds like it's not. And
no,
I don't think we'll see him in Cup next year. I wouldn't be shocked to see him in Xfinity or trucks maybe, but I do not anticipate him being back in Cup next year.
Yeah.
Even if he ends up in a Rick Ware car, I mean, I don't see that happening. But good, glad I'm one. It was a nice treat for the 2 weeks off to celebrate that.
A little shove off into vacation land. Yeah. I definitely had a few beers in the pool over that one, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm. Other news coming out, Connor Zilic is going to be taking the 88 car for JRM.
Yeah, some people losing jobs
next year.
Some people getting jobs, and Connor's
on the way up.
Yeah, so Connor's definitely got himself a hell of a job here. I'm a little surprised to see the 88 be his car, because that's been sort of the star car. But
my guess is they're going to still have a fifth team, and maybe they take the 8. And because Junior's getting that 8, the trademark back. So I have a feeling that that'll be the car. If he still runs a race or two, he'll be in that, and maybe that'll be the car that they have people hop in and out of.
That makes sense. It also sounds as though, sorry to cut you off, but in other junior news, I don't know if you guys saw this yet, but it sounds like Sam Mayer and Brandon Jones are not returning.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I don't like Sam Mayer, so that's fine.
I don't either, but apparently Sam is in particular is linked to some cup rides, but also there's a theory that they're going to Stuart Haas. So, guess we'll see.
Well, you mean just Haas?
Excuse me, Haas.
Yeah, just Haas.
Just H. Yeah, the Haas factory team. My bad. Yeah.
Haas.
It almost seems like a downgrade, but I mean, at least for Sam, Brandon, I mean, he hasn't done shit, so whatever. But
money.
Yeah.
I'm only worried about seeing Junior run more races, because I was kind of, when this news broke, my first thought was, will Bristol be Junior's last race this year? But after hearing you say what you said, then that makes me feel better.
It does seem like he's kind of winding down, but obviously he only runs one race a year anyway, so one of these days it'll be the last one, and hopefully it's not Bristol. Always fun to see old Junebug out there.
I think he's still running good and having fun, and he gets to run the Cars Tour stuff. So I don't know how much longer he has, but it's we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Also, Lee Diffie has a new job. I think we talked about this earlier in the year, but he's officially going over to NBC to take over the as lead anchor or whatever the fuck they call it.
I thought that was already announced, but
it had been alluded to, but it hadn't been officially established. And Daytona will be his first race as the lead in the booth, which I'm very excited about. I think Lee Diffie can call anything. I haven't really watched any of the Olympics in earnest, but any clip I've seen of him.
I've gotten really into the Olympics the past 2 weeks because what the fuck else am I going to do? And those track races that Lee Diffie's been calling have been absolutely incredible. Like, he adds a whole new level.
Electric.
So that makes me even more excited about him coming over to NASCAR.
Yeah. I'm still a little, I don't know, I feel weird hearing an Australian guy. Is he Australian? Or is he British?
He's from down under.
Foreign.
Okay. It's still a little weird hearing. Yeah, he's foreign. It's still a little weird hearing an Australian guy call a NASCAR race, but he is very good at his job. So at the very least, there's that. So I'm sure I'll get used to it. It's not like he's never called NASCAR before.
No, he's done a few in the past, and the real hit here is for IndyCar. Obviously, they're losing their coverage at NBC next year anyway, but. Definitely sucks that he's not going to be in there for the how many races are left? Like one? I don't know. Like, they have a short fucking season, so it's a damn shame because he really brought the IndyCar broadcast to another level, and that's why they moved him to NASCAR. I assume. I don't know what's happening to old Rick, but
that's fine.
Him and Corey are gonna have a podcast together.
Yeah, he's okay, but I'm not gonna admit that, so it's fine. But speaking of schedules, the 2025 NASCAR schedule has not yet been released, but it was rumored this week. At least the playoff schedule was sort of rumored, and Talladega is going to be in the final round of 8, which is weird to have a race like that so late in the season. I'm not complaining because I love Talladega, but it definitely seems iffy for those guys who are in the playoff.
It's always happened in October, so that's not really a surprise, but its positioning in the playoffs is fucking stupid, in my opinion. Yeah. But
was it third to last race, or?
It's the middle of that round. So they go to, I forget, like Kansas or something like that, and then Martinsville. 3 very similar racetracks. But yeah, fuck that. I'm not a fan of it. I love Talladega, but I'm not a fan of any play track being in the playoffs. So that's just me.
Yeah.
Old Boomer Rob sailing in to drop his opinion off on the doorstep of the firehouse here.
I don't mind one plate race in the playoffs, but not that close to the end.
I will say I do, and if this ends up being fact, it looks like Daytona will be the cutoff race, and I do like that. I feel like that's the closest you can stick it to the playoffs without it being. It's like you've had all this time to be good and you haven't yet, so now's your chance to do it.
Yeah, I do like that as the final crapshoot.
Yeah, but still, put it back on July 4th in the middle of the day so everyone suffers. That's what I want.
What else NASCAR news? So Rob, you've got NASCAR. Hey, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the other thing about the playoffs is that and this seems to be pretty much confirmed based on what I see from the camping details from Loudon, is that has been moved back to the fall, which thank fucking God. Oh my God, a September race at Loudon is so much better than a July race. The June one was nice, but that was just because of the Olympics. That was never going to happen again. It was going to go back to July, and that's a fucking, you really got to like NASCAR a lot to do that shit, and I guess I do. Yeah. So, but September is a much more appealing deal. They used to do 2 races there, and the September one was always a lot more comfortable and nice, and the trees have not changed yet, but it could be fall. It's starting to be fall at that point. And also, it sounds like the Craftsman Truck Series is coming back for the doubleheader with the modifieds instead of the Xfinity Series. So
that's good.
Something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't mind if they do a 2-week summer break every year, because no one wants to go to a race in fucking July.
Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun.
Especially down here.
It's real hot.
That's true.
Yeah.
Real hot. But yeah, Brien was about to get into this. Very exciting news for all my Hey Dude enthusiasts out there. I'm more of a Croc fan personally, but NASCAR has teamed up with Hey Dude to release a line of driver-themed Hey Dudes. That's right. I've said Hey Dudes more than I ever have in the past 30 seconds.
Are these just like slippers or something? Because I've heard of this brand. I know it's... I saw it briefly. I don't know, man. I had a lot going on the last week.
Oh, they're hideous. They're fucking terrible.
They're terrible. Like,
it's like the paint scheme from the car on the shoes. So
yeah,
it's great.
There's nothing I love more than being a walking billboard with the things that I wear, but these shoes I would fucking never.
It's a bridge too far.
Yeah, I'm a fan of quality, comfortable footwear, and shitty Hey Dudes don't meet my standard, so I will not. Them.
Sorry, the Knoxville broadcast just fired up on my computer. I don't know if you heard that or not. That just scared the shit out of me. But yeah, Hey Dudes, they're here. They're about $100 a pop, I think. So you can go ahead and put that order in. Save your
fuck right off.
Yeah, save your. I was going to say showbiz because I grew up in the South, but Chuck E. Cheese tokens. You can save those up and redeem them at the prize booth there, your local Chuck Cheese.
Well,
or
looks like
online.
There's only 3 drivers. It was Larson, Elliott, and Dale Jr.
Yeah,
so.
And they're all gross. So
they're all gross.
And Dale Jr. will definitely outsell the other 2. There's no question about that. But yeah, so that's something you can spend your money on.
Sundrop footwear.
Yep. So I know what to get you guys for Christmas.
Yeah.
Please don't save your money.
Yeah.
We did all manage to occupy our time for about 30 seconds over the break by taking the NASCAR driver quiz that came out.
That didn't fill up as much time as I hoped it would.
That was the stupidest fucking quiz with like 6 questions with like a handful of options, and True Love, since you didn't tell us your result, you get to tell us yours first. Who is your top driver that
well, after answering all these stupid fucking questions that don't pertain to my life whatsoever, they matched me with Chris Buescher as my top pick.
Oh,
that was my top pick also. Who I can't say I totally agree with that, but it was like,
yeah, I don't dislike Buescher, but my favorite.
Yeah.
Driver. I don't know anyone whose favorite driver that they would go
it's
to
not so much your
for.
favorite driver. It's who you match with personality-wise.
Yeah, it's who you're the most like.
Yeah.
Well, I got the most shocking news. Mine was Denny Hamlin, so that was a pretty. I signed up for therapy after that.
Yeah, Denny was like my third. It was Busher, Briscoe, Denny, and then Austin Dillon, which again couldn't be any more different than that fucking egghead. So
Mine was Busher, Truex, Hamlin, Chastain.
Oh, all of your favorites. Yeah. Well, I had Hamlin, obviously. Busher was number 2 for me, so I guess we all have something in common. The same thing is wrong with all of us. Followed by Austin Dillon for some reason, and then number 4 was the biggest surprise was Ty Gibbs. So I don't know what's wrong with me.
I don't remember Jesus being an option on any of the questions.
It was apparently. You got to read between the lines, and apparently that's me. I'm a whatever Ty Gibbs is. But the good news is I only matched about 56% with Denny Hamlin. So very clearly I'm a mysterious, strange man who doesn't align with anyone really. But enough to.
You're a fan of scooters, so there's that.
That's true. Yeah. Can't win them all.
Another way that Rob, you occupied your time during the break is you tried to make some more AI Dale and Mikey on a date artwork.
Yeah, I did. I think we ran it through ChatGPT or something like that the first time and got a couple stories. That was nice. But this one I used, I think it was Canva's AI. Canva, of course, is where the majority of the United States does its graphic design, so that's something. You probably have Canva on your phone. You might have a subscription and you don't even know it, so be sure to check your subscriptions list on your iPhone or whatever device you use and make sure you're not giving them $12 a month or whatever. But the AI function is free. You have a limit to how many you can do, so unfortunately I found this submission here. And again, I punched the same thing into the generator as I did the first time, which was Dale Earnhardt and Michael Waltrip are enjoying a nice intimate date at a Lake Norman establishment on a porch. And they're enjoying a nice shrimp cocktail together over cocktails, like regular cocktails, drinks. And it actually gave me a pretty decent image of what that might look like. Which we'll post. There is some sort of furry hell dog that is sitting on Michael Waltrip's shoulder.
Yeah, there's a dog with like two different paws on its shoulder, and then so
it's got a finger coming out of it.
He looks like he's covered in random cooked chicken wings. This dog.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. And
those are fingers. Those are Mikey's fingers.
So,
like there weren't enough fingers in this picture already.
Yeah, but I did like that there's sorry to cut you off there. There's a plate of shrimp for each driver, of course. Dale and Mikey, they're going to eat well. And there's a third backup on the table as well. So when they finish up, they have a little bit to share and kind of have a Lady in the Tramp type situation, from what I imagine. So
notice that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Mikey looks more like Richard Childress, I think. And then Dale, the driver they made as Dale, it looks like an amalgamation of Dale, Carey, and Dale Jr. Like it looks like all three of them combined. And he's wearing a red fire suit. So.
Who's supposed to be Dale? The left or the right?
The left because of the mustache.
Okay, well Mikey on the right to me looks like Dick Trickle.
I could see that.
Yeah, a little bit like Dick Trickle. Yeah, I can see that.
I'm definitely getting some Terry Labonte vibes from Dale here, a little bit closer to Texas Terry. Either way, this is an abomination, and I can't wait to share with you guys on the internet.
It looks like they're drinking Hawaiian punch out of their wine glasses.
Yes, or just cocktail sauce. But yeah, what a lovely dinner, a lovely date, a lovely evening. For Dale and Mikey here, and I think we can put a pin in that one for now until AI takes another jump in quality. So I can't wait to share this with you guys. It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, ruined shrimp for me. Saying a lot.
But on to more internet horrifying news. So there's a lot of different.
I didn't understand any of this, so.
Yeah, so I also with my time off from this show, I ended up joining this Eldora fan page. I thought it was going to be like a camping page. I'm going there in a month with Kyle Armstrong, and I was just curious to see what it would be like because the Loudon one is always entertaining, and all the track camping pages are fun. This one's called Eldora Fans, and really it's just a pair of, I don't know, Eastern European Indian bots. I'm not really sure where they're from. Just putting this like AI generated news up, and all of the headlines, people die like in every single one of them. It's all very dark.
Yeah, we've got Tony Stewart, Eldora Speedway owner Tony Stewart has been arrested a few hours ago near LAX on suspicion of DUI.
Yeah, the photo here is amazing with his hands up.
We've got another one, another terrible loss for the Eldora Speedway. The NASCAR community announces the death of 5 top drivers in a plane crash.
Yeah, hits keep coming.
Then another plane crash involving Tony Stewart. That's Tony Stewart with a D.
Yeah.
And then finally, this one I'm sure really perked Ashley up. Heartbreaking loss. Chase Elliott mourns tragic loss of 6-year-old son to sudden illness.
Yeah, and I think no one was more surprised than Chase Elliott himself, who does not have a son that he's aware of. So this was great. I literally I've stayed following this page just because it's so ridiculous. There's no moderation. It's just these bots, and it makes me laugh at least once a day. So, yeah, go give Eldora Speedway a follow. It's all caps, Eldora Speedway, and catch some spyware on your computer, along with Rob here. So,
Don't open any DMs from this page, y'all.
Don't
click any links.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah, just look at the headlines. That's all you need.
Yeah. So what else is going on? Do we have any more? I know, True Love, you had a couple things you wanted to bring up, right?
Oh, yeah. So there was just a few honorable mentions from the week that, from the off weeks that I wanted to throw out there. I don't know if y'all saw that Tyler Reddick got married.
He did, yeah.
Yep.
Did y'all see any pictures from that wedding?
I did not.
I saw a couple.
Yeah,
was there a Zin tray?
There wasn't a Zin tray, but there was a McDonald's food truck and a Nasty Beast open bar, which I thought was amazing to have your sponsors sponsor your wedding. There's also a great picture of them kissing at the altar, and Reddick is so much shorter than his wife, and
yeah, he really is a tiny guy. Yeah.
He's wearing like 2-inch heels too, and it's just not doing him any favors. But yeah, congrats to them. Suarez also got married down in Brazil and did some racing down there.
Yeah, caught himself a DQ in one of the races. That was pretty cool.
So
well, he did win also. So there's that.
Yeah, well, he almost won both of them, but apparently you can't move people in the GT NASCAR series or whatever. So,
Cole Custer gave birth to a son.
Oh, that's exciting.
His name is Callahan Custer, which will make a great future NASCAR driver name if he shortens it to Cal. I think Cal Custer.
He's got to be Cal. Although his middle name is Brien, so he could go by Brien Custer also.
Brien
doesn't sound as good.
Cal Custer.
Cal Custer.
Yeah, Cal Custer.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Someone also posted a picture of Ross Chastain spotted during the driver break of him in a grocery store in a watermelon section. The melons, while all the other drivers were off in like France and Italy. Ross, keep an eye on the melons.
Yep, someone's got to. They'll roll off otherwise.
Also in other news, Juan Pablo is coming back.
Oh, that's right. I knew I was forgetting something. Yep. Yeah.
What is that? His first race in like 10 years for the Cup Series?
Yeah, it's been a little while. Yeah, coming back with 2311, that's going to be a good deal for him. I think all the guys that have run in that car have done a pretty damn good job, so I would expect the same from old Juan Pablo.
Yeah, there's a good chance I'm going to be at that race. So,
nice.
Not that I'm a huge Juan Pablo fan, but they'll still be cool.
Yeah.
Greg Biffle's going to be in an ARC race this weekend, which isn't quite as big as an upgrade as Juan Pablo, but
no, yeah. So my big question is why?
Have you guys seen his? He's got like a YouTube page now, and I don't like it. Like it's I don't think he's a good YouTuber.
Yeah. Well, he's been in the live streaming for a while. If you guys remember a few years ago with the security camera thing.
Oh yes, very
not his first foray into that world, but
he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
I think that's about all the news. There's a couple paint schemes released. Ross Chastain's underwear paint scheme, and then Chase Elliott's Coke and chicken.
Yes, he's already got a new chicken sponsor. His Buck Hooters. So
yeah, Slim Chickens, right?
Yep.
Slim Chickens. there aren't any near me, so.
There's only one, and it's fine. It's a fucking chicken place. Like, I don't.
Oh yeah.
They're all the
Chicken
same.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, well, while NASCAR was off, there was still a bunch of short track racing happening, which I unfortunately didn't get to see. I made my trip home to New York, and I was planning on going to Albany, Saratoga, but that got rained out, so we'll have to try again next year.
What a bummer.
I'll be back in October, but it is what it is. I mean, rain's fucked all sorts of things up.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of this. True Love, did you go to the track at all, or did you stay tucked into the air conditioning the entire time?
No, I'm staying tucked in the air conditioning until I go to the Atlanta race next month. So.
When you'll be punished appropriately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hydrate until then.
That's a good idea. I went to Thompson, and I saw one of their local shows. There was about 30 cars in total, if you can imagine that. Maybe a little bit more than that, but yeah, it was really low car count, but still nice to sit out there and drink some Fireball nips and watch some race cars zip by. I'll be going there again next week to go to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race there. That's always going to be it's always a good show when the mods go there. It'll be their second trip there, so that'll be fun. But there was a shit ton of short track racing, so I guess we can just climb into the septic tank. Here, it's been a little while. They cleaned it while we were gone. It smells as nice as it could. I love that we refer to the septic tank as like a porta potty. Mm-hmm. That's always the mental image, even though there's a door on the septic tank. There's a tunnel under the Applebee's that goes to it. Some sad news to start off with. Photographer Evan Canfield passed away. He was all over the New England modified scene and just the East Coast, and apparently a good guy. I never knew him, but I know a lot of people that I knew really liked that guy and enjoyed being around him, and he did great work too. So rest in peace, Evan. It's such a damn shame. So many sad deaths this year. But moving on from that, while we were away from NASCAR, like Brien said, there's plenty of short track racing going on. The Prairie Dirt Classic happened at Fairbury. Bobby Pierce put on a fucking show to win that one. He got Nick Hoffman on the last lap after Pierce, I think he spun out and went back to like 20th and managed to like work his way back up to the front of the field. All the racing at Fairbury was fucking awesome. That's definitely on my short list of places to go as I start to scratch the old bucket list off. You got to make a new one, right? And definitely Falls is on the top of that list. Bobby Pierce has won 7 of the last 8 late model races he's been in, so that's something. He continued his winning streak at Cedar Lake for the USA Nationals. He almost got the second prelim too, but Ryan Gustin ended up getting that one. So if you go to the World of Outlaws website, it's kind of funny. It's just a bunch of pictures of Bobby Pierce and then Ryan Gustin's mug right in the center of it. So good for him getting the win. I like Ryan Gustin. That was cool. And Cedar Lake's a cool track too. Over on the World of Outlaws sprint car side, Kyle Larson won the Ironman 55. That's of course at Kenny Schrader's track. Peevely, what else is it called? I can't remember. There's like 15 fucking Federated Auto Parts Raceway, I-55, whatever you want to call it. I know it is I-55, and Larson put on a show. He also won the Oski at Oski in the Front Row Challenge over Corey Day. And I don't know if you guys know this, but the pole is set by a foot race.
Oh.
And Parker Price Miller, quite the runner.
Did Lee Diffie call it?
No, but he should have. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But Parker Price Miller, definitely the most, was the best runner out of all those guys. And, they're all pretty small, so I imagine they get around. But he looks like he can probably haul the mail in a 50-yard dash, and he certainly did there and got the pole, but it wasn't enough. Kyle Larson picked up that one, too. More checks to Kyle Larson. Over at Knoxville, of course, the Knoxville Nationals are underway as we speak. The 360 Nationals were last week, though. Tyler Courtney won that one. Rico Abreu won the Capitani Classic on Monday night, which is sort of a warm-up for the festivities this week, the Knoxville Nationals. And, of course, last night, Gio Scelzi pipped Jacob Allen at the end of that race. So Knoxville is actually, like I said, I just said the broadcast scared the shit out of me because I had the pay-per-view window open in my browser here, and yeah, that was very loud and terrifying. So when this is all said and done, I'll be back to watching Knoxville, and I recommend you do the same. Over on the pavement world, the Cars Tour was at Hickory, and I'm sure everybody on Earth has seen all the highlights from this. Andrew Grady had a full-on fucking meltdown. I didn't watch this race. I only saw the highlights, but
yeah,
he was fucking pissed. He did not have a good race, and at the end of the event, he pushed an official, which caused a giant brawl.
Oh.
And he did not like Landon Huffman. He had a really funny interview where he referred to Landon Huffman as, he said, to quote Denny Hamlin, "You're a hack. You're just a trash panda, dude," whatever the fuck that means.
Well, I was like, trash panda?
It's a
like,
raccoon.
what kind of whippersnapper insult is that? So I Googled it. I was like, it literally just means raccoon. I was like, what? That's not an insult. Raccoons are cute.
Yeah, they're awesome. They have opposable thumbs, unlike Andrew Grady. But he earned himself a 3-race suspension for his actions, which, that's pretty fair. He definitely earned it. And Landon Huffman, in turn, earned himself a sponsorship from a minor league baseball team called the Trash Pandas, and he wore that with pride at North Wilkesboro. Which, by the way, Corey Heim won that race after Trayton Leibovich DQ'd. He had a quote-unquote unapproved part on the car, whatever the fuck that means. But, yeah. It was a big win for him, but that went to Corey Heim, so it felt like a truck race at the end of it. It also felt like a truck race because there's a lot of wrecks, and Sammy Smith was involved in one of them. So, yeah, right at home for all you folks who might not watch a lot of short track racing, but you do watch the truck series and you chose to tune into this one. The Cars Tour is really fucking fun, I gotta say. I gotta watch more of it.
Yeah, there was that little race before it then where the 14-year-old won on his 14th birthday.
Yeah, the Pro Late Model race or whatever. Yeah.
And then they awarded him with a moonshine still.
Yeah. He'll run some Mountain Dew through it until it's time. Not the real Mountain Dew, but the Code Red type. Also in that race, God, what's with these fucking Southern Late Model guys and their last names? There's a guy named Joshua Horniman. I mean, at least say that slower.
Man, he'll always be horny man. I'm sure he's had a hell of a childhood growing up with that, but
Mr. Hornyman.
He can't wait for him to move up to the truck series.
A new favorite driver. Yeah. Yeah, Kevin Harvick was also in the Big Cars Tour race. He got a 10th place finish after the DQ, so good for him. And, Mr. Hornyman netted himself a 22nd place result for his efforts. And North Wilkesboro was cool as fuck. It got heavily delayed by rain, so there was no way I was going to stay up and watch that shit. I think they finished up pretty late. Maybe I'm mixing that up with Hickory. I don't know. It always rains. It always rains. But still, it was too late for Robbie, and I was watching some other racing anyway. But congratulations to them. Like I said, watch the Cars Tour. I don't, but I should. I know I'm making a mistake. Speaking of rain, the NASCAR Modifieds were at Lancaster, and they raced on an actually wet racetrack, which a lot of people weren't thrilled with, particularly Kyle Bonsignor, who was very vocal about the fact that there was standing water on the racetrack. But who gives a shit, because Austin Beers won, and that's all I'm here for. So, what else is going on here? This week it's the Knoxville Nationals, of course. That's all you're going to hear about next week from me. Also, the North-South 100 at Florence. That's a huge late model race. Definitely one of the crown jewels in that world. I'll be tuned into that on a second screen right next to Knoxville. But there is plenty to watch. One more thing as we lead into our Darf of the Week section. It has to do with Kyle Larson and his sprint car racing. A lot of people were giving Kyle shit for winning these races and he's just a rich kid, and he's cheating, and they let him get away with it, and they just want a NASCAR guy to win, and blah, blah, blah. And he fired back with a tweet. It was a photo of his car owner, Paul Silva, digging around in a dumpster trying to find parts to save money. And he also revealed that they've won their last 2 races on used tires that they bought from somebody else. So, yeah, that's... Not
Larson
so much.
Is the real trash panda here.
He is we're talking trash pandas. It's Paul Silva and Kyle Larson. But this is where our Darf of the Week comes in. Again, more of these conversations. This is kind of the opposite side of things. Work Area on Twitter posted something about Larson working his way through the field and just being impressive as fuck, which he certainly has been lately. Hasn't had the best year in 410s, but he's definitely picked it up recently and has been pulling some insane shit out there. Of course, 2 wins last week, and it's probably going to continue. He's certainly a contender in Knoxville, but everyone's just kind of, doing the usual Larson suck-off, which is sometimes warranted. And this guy, what's his name? His name's Sean. On Twitter, his name is PokeGoFan1979. He's also into wrestling, so Brien, you might know this guy. And people were talking about how Knoxville Nationals are one of the biggest event of the year, and how sprint car racing is so tough, and how it's such a big deal for Larson to be winning these races the way he does, which it fucking is. There's no question about it. And this guy responds with, "No, it's not. Larson is racing against drivers who are racing as a hobby. He's like Aaron Judge playing a beer league softball game and hitting home runs at every at-bat. This is like Jordan playing a pickup basketball game at a local Y, which is the dumbest thing I've seen on the internet all year." So, yeah, tell me you don't know a damn thing about short track racing. Just tweet that. Yeah, that was fucking. And then somebody, you're not gonna like this, True Love, but somebody
No, I
posted
didn't like it when you sent it earlier.
That wasn't meant to irk you. This was just purely the reply. My hero, Connor Allen, posted a photo of Chase Elliott flipping into the catch fence in like the H main at the Chili Bowl. Say, Chase Elliott really whooped those hobbyist asses, didn't he? Oh, it's good. But yeah, sprint car racing is tough. And yeah, Kyle Larson is certainly one of the best to do it. And this guy can go, I don't know, he can go hang out with Brien in the parking lot, and Brien can sell him some wrestling t-shirts at a highly inflated price as his punishment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the short track septic tank, unless you guys got anything else you'd like to add?
I got nothing.
I don't think so.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, well, I guess this, I don't know if it's short track, but there was that picture of the ARCA car being repaired in the subway parking lot. Did y'all see that?
Yes, that was
I
fucking
did see
awesome.
that, yeah.
That was awesome. It wasn't Greg Biffle's car, but
No.
yeah, seriously, I'm scratching my head about that one.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you fly all the way to California to run with those fucking idiots? But whatever. But that's the short track septic tank. Thanks for tuning into that segment and not fast forwarding it. And we're going to go ahead and flush it down and get into this video of the week.
Yep. So,
it's empty.
we decided we went with a full vintage race this week since we had 2 weeks to watch it. But it was the 1986 Miller High Life 400 from Richmond. For those who don't know, this was the original configuration of Richmond. A couple years later is when it got rebuilt. This is at the Richmond Fairgrounds. TBS broadcasted it, had a really good broadcast team. You had Ken Squire and Benny in the booth, Dave Despain as like the interstitial reporter, and then Jerry Garrett, who I've never heard of, and then Chris Hanamaki in the pits. This was the second race of the 86 season, coming off of Jeff Bodine's Daytona 500 win the week before. Right off the bat, we get some rushed interviews with Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty in the car. And then also an awkward, as always, Jeff Bodine interview where he tries to make some sort of joke about being a Yankee that beat all the Southerners, and it was just awkward and cringy because that's what Jeff Bodine is.
That's what he does. Yeah, that's what he does best. Besides build bobsleds.
Yeah. The big news, I think, going into this race was the fact that the track had they just put sealer on it, but it was very slick, which we'll find that out real fast. But you start off with the good old classic scroll of all 31 cars, pictures and names of every driver, which I always love those.
Yeah, I love this intro so much.
You see people in weird cars you don't expect to see them in, and drivers you've never heard of before. There was only 31 cars in the field, but it was a really good field, and qualifying was rained out for this, but NASCAR back then had a really weird way of setting the field. I don't know if this was just because it was the second race of the season or what, but they said the first 18 were set on points, and then races 19 and spots 19 and 20, I guess, were the last race winners, and then 21 through 30 were the receipt of the entry list or the entry forms to the race, which is whoever got them in first, that's how they got their spot, which is very strange.
No foot race.
No foot race, and then a provisional. Again, watching this race, and yes, we know 2 years later the track would be reconfigured and rebuilt, but it's just a massively stark contrast to to races even 10, 15 years later, especially compared to today. The fact that, it's all just metal guardrails. There's no walls except for, along the front stretch. So that certainly tears the cars up a bit more than walls normally would.
Is there a horse track around it? Is that what that is?
I was trying to figure out why there was so much dirt.
So I had thought that was because they were about to tear it down and reconfigure it, but apparently that's not the case because it was that way for years. So it was on the fairgrounds, so I feel like it's got to have something to do with that. But
maybe. I don't think it went all the way around, though, but
no.
So much dirt.
Yeah. Huge space. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with Dover. But
yeah, it looked very archaic watching that race compared to now.
Yeah, it's certainly not the Richmond of now, that's for sure.
No.
Starts off pretty quickly getting into some wrecks. We see Trevor Boys and Buddy Arrington, two of my favorite 80s independent drivers, bringing out the first caution with a guy named Kirk Brien, who we hear wrecking quite a bit throughout the race. And I looked this guy up. He only made like 5 starts between 85 and 87. Really doesn't have much of a record. So, but the way he performed in this race, there's probably a good reason why.
Corey LaJoy of 1986.
I wouldn't even give him that much credit. That's saying a lot. We won't go through every single commercial we see, but this is a NASCAR race in the 80s. You get a lot of beer commercials from both Budweiser and Coors.
I've never seen the full broadcast of this before. I mean, everyone has seen this. Like, if you're listening to this, you have probably seen at least the finish to this race. And we'll get to that later on of what happens, but I've never seen the entire broadcast before, so this is a real treat.
Yeah, it's not the best quality, but not the worst. The sound at the very end is off by like a second or two, but it doesn't really affect watching it, at least to me. But yeah, there's, like I said, Budweiser, a bunch of different Sears commercials. This first commercial break is a very sensual Steady Rider shocks ad by Sears, and we come back from the break, and the quote from Ken Squire regarding going from Daytona to Richmond is "from bikinis to mittens," which didn't seem like the coldest day in Richmond that day, but whatever.
Everyone was bundled up a lot, I noticed.
I mean, it is Virginia. I mean,
hats.
Yeah, Virginia doesn't have gnarly winters, but I mean, it's still March in fucking Virginia, so it's definitely not warm.
I felt it pretty cold down there, but I've also seen a lot of people bring like propane heaters into like the not snowball derby, but actually the snowball derby, and it's like 60 degrees, so they're just not they're not built like Jeff Bodine is,
Yeah, handle
the cold. Be weird.
Coming back from the first caution, we almost immediately get a second caution. Kristen Kanamaki is interviewing somebody, and he's interrupted by Lake Speed spinning off of Ricky Rudd's bumper, followed quickly by a huge lap 18 8-car pileup. It's actually more than 8 cars. It turns out to be Bill Elliott. He gets his car caught on the fence. You got Richard Petty, Ron Bouchard, DW, Phil Parsons, Tommy Ellis, Joe Ruttman, Harry Gant, Greg Sachs, Ricky Rudd, and Tim Richmond were all involved in this. And this is also where you see the infamous clip of Dale Earnhardt getting out of his car during the caution to wipe off his windshield, because apparently what was happening wasn't somebody put oil on the track, it was just mud and dirt from outside the track that got on this slick surface and was just causing everybody to eat shit. Ron Bouchard gives a pissed off interview in his car where he just says, "Track slippery with dirt and stuff on it." Very eloquent. Next commercial break, more Chevy stuff and Budweiser. There's ads for like the Camaro, the IROC Z, the Chevy Celebrity Sport, the Cavalier Z24. So if you're an 80 Chevy fan, this is a great just batch of commercials for all the different cars. Even like a Chevy Baja 1000 commercial, like it's a lot of cool Chevy commercials.
The little I Rock and Roll jingle from that IROC commercial was great. A lot of great jingles.
Coming back from the break, Ken Squire thinks that nobody's going to finish this race, which is almost true. We see Greg Sachs almost running into a safety truck. And then the exact opposite interview of Ron Bouchard, we get Tim Richmond in his car giving a very eloquent and well-spoken interview with the track conditions and stating that a little too much aggression too soon by some of the guys, which isn't a shock being at a short track. More commercials, Carl Lewis, Budweiser, or Carl Lewis track and field meet, Bud Light. And then there's a lot of Gillette commercials. There's all sorts of different Gillette.
Too many.
Yes, there's razors, there's some sort of weird comb.
They made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, all sorts of weird shit. Now, coming back, now the race starts to kind of settle, now that half the cars are all banged up. Around lap 43, there's a very, very great battle between Jeff Bodine and Earnhardt. We all know the history between these two, and 85, 86 is really when it was really just starting to kick up. Like they didn't have their meeting yet with Bill France telling them to knock the shit off. So they were still up each other's ass the entire race. During this battle, there's a couple times where the camera just pans to the crowd real quick, including like 1 second where it's just a close-up of some woman's face with sunglasses, like just taking up the entire screen, which I thought that was very fun. And they mentioned in 1985, which in 86 they had changed it, but in 85 you could only change 2 tires at once on a pit stop, which is very bizarre.
Some modified shit right there.
Yeah, now they do that for half the races because the left sides don't wear out, but that was not the case in 86. More commercials. We come back from commercials and we see Dave Marcus and Jimmy Means up front, which I think Jimmy ended up finishing probably in the top 10. I'm not sure where exactly he finished because what happens at the end of the race, but he did pretty well. And he's still, everybody's got the 86 Monte Carlos with the bubble back windows, and he's still in an old car with the, I think they called them fastbacks, the flat back window. But we see Earnhardt, he gets back up to the lead, and at this point, he leads most of the race, which again isn't totally a surprise. But around the hour mark, Kyle Petty is first mentioned, which we'll get to him later.
Oh, I think it was the Aero Coupe. Wasn't that what it was called with the big bubble windshield?
That's what they called the bubble windshield cars, the Aero Coupes. Yeah, but I think the flat window ones were the fastbacks.
Never mind. Continue.
Another commercial break. The highlight of this commercial break is a Dinty Moore beef stew commercial with a kid singing about how hard his day is, which I thought that was very funny.
It's classic.
I definitely ate a lot of Dinty Moore beef stew as a kid in the trailer park.
Absolutely.
I was a chunky soup guy myself. Dinty Moore was not as good.
Yeah, many nights hard on the Dinty Moore in my household. So.
For some reason, they keep showing a replay of Harry Gant and Ricky Rudd wrecking into each other. I don't know why they showed that like 4 or 5 times. Also, DW, Darrell Waltrip, he was involved in that one big wreck, and the story throughout a big portion of the center of the race is his battle to get his lead back. Like, he was fast, obviously. He was up front the whole day, but he just was struggling to get his lap back. He was fighting with Earnhardt, fighting with Jeff Bodine. Obviously, he'll come back into the picture later on. But at that point, we do see some shades of what's to come, with Dale and DW really getting into it hard with each other and getting each other loose a bunch of times. Again, really, really fun racing to watch. More commercials. Then Kirk Brien crashes again with Tim Richmond. Dale comes in. He's got a tire rub from getting into it with DW. At an hour 28 in, we get a motorsports recap of what's going on in the rest of the racing world. There's an Atlanta Supercross update with Ricky Johnson beating Jeff Ward. Dave Despain mentioned something about the All-American Racing Series, which is supposed to be a proving ground for up-and-coming Indy guys, which I know nothing about. And
yeah, that eventually became the American IndyCar Series, which that's a fucking fascinating, weird little wormhole to go down if you have the time. We can talk about that in a later episode.
And then some F1 news, the death of up-and-coming star, I think his name was Bertrand Poppy. Is that the name? I didn't quite hear it, but it was nobody I'd ever heard of.
I heard it and I didn't know how to spell it, so I didn't write it down.
Yeah. There's a little inset interview. There's a bunch of different little inset interviews throughout the race with DW and Dale Earnhardt. And DW says you can't be courteous on a short track, which they all prove throughout the race.
Yeah.
There's a nice little battle between Kyle Petty and Neil Bonnet. And I don't know if y'all caught this, but at the hour 36 mark, DW is still trying to get his lap back from Earnhardt. And Mikey is in this race, and he's not helping his brother because of Dale. That's interesting.
The seed has been planted.
Yeah.
Well, as you'll see from the photo we'll post on the Instagram post for this, you'll understand maybe why that was. A little glimpse back, if you will.
We're at 185 laps in, and there's only 6 cars in the lead lap due to all the attrition. More ads, and one of the ads we didn't mention is the Levi Garrett commercial with Jeff Bonine's 5-car, which very Jerry Reed sounding song. And then another ad which I saw a couple times, and I didn't do enough research. I gotta look this up, but a very serious magazine or an ad for Automobile Magazine with a guy named David E. Davis Jr. Like, he's just like so excited to present this new automotive magazine to you. Then minute 52, there is a feature with Jeff Bonine's parents, who are also weird and awkward, and they're talking about selling his merch, which I have a couple of those shirts in my store right now if you're looking for any old Jeff Bonine 86 shirt.
Oh, there it is.
Then again, more ads. Chevy, I got Sineaid sinus headache medicine with a radio. The ad was for featuring a woman who was a radio DJ, and then one for National Geographic Explorer, which is a TV show. We get an interview with young Larry Mack, who at this point he had just gotten the job with King Racing, crew chiefing for Joe Ruttman, who he was running the top 5 all day as well, which he gets involved in that last wreck. And this quote, much like me, Ken Squire is a big fan of JD McDuffie's Rumpel sponsor. I always like that name, and that car always looked kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
And Dale, again, he's out to lunch at this point. Another ad. This ad break is much different than the rest of them. We get an ad for pre-CNN headline news, headline sports TV show. Friedlander Home Equity Loan Services. 2 different Wendy's ads, one with like a burger assembly line, and then another one featuring their baked potatoes. And there's also a PBS NBA ad with like a doo-wop soundtrack, which I don't know if that's necessarily fitting, but it is what it is.
It was the 80s.
Yes. There is a little spotlight on Rusty Wallace, who he is still. This is, I don't know if it's technically his rookie year, but he's still very young.
He's got the Screech Powers hair.
Yeah, big ass afro going.
Yeah.
We get Jeff Bodine talking about controlling his temper and using his car as a weapon, which that very clearly happens. 213. So I think last year we watched the Talladega race with Junior Johnson standing on a block of ice. Well, here at Richmond, he's standing and watching the race from the top of a front end loader. So he just finds weird places to sit and watch the race, apparently. Next up, there's more commercials, and then we come back from the break, and Greg Sachs and JD McDuffie had just wrecked, but Ken mentions that there was going to be a caution called anyways because someone fell off the Victory Lane tower and they needed to get an ambulance in the track to take care of them.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because I never heard that little tidbit before.
Yeah, no. Neither did I.
Yeah, that one gets edited out of most broadcasts.
We get another little update from the rest of the motorsports world. They said the late model race yesterday had gotten rained out. The Camel GT cars were racing somewhere, and they said they were qualifying this week and then racing next week because they needed the week in between to fix the track that was like crumbling apart. And then the World of Outlaws season was just starting at Ascot Park out in California. At this point, we're at like 280-ish, and DW is still struggling to get his lap back, and he finally gets it back at 290. So he's back in the race. More commercial, like a bunch of commercials actually, really nothing going on. I think right now we're probably at around lap 350. There's that caution with Rusty Wallace and Neil Bonnet getting into each other, and this puts DW back up close with everybody else in the top 5. And this next commercial break is another different one. There is a Coors Beer Wolf commercial, which I'd heard of the Beer Wolf before, but I'd never actually seen a Beer Wolf commercial in it. And I thought it was animated, but it was just some guy in a fucking wolf costume, which
Furry
was
costume.
very cheap looking. And there's a sugar-free Jello ad. Come back from break, and everybody had pitted, and they show Dale Earnhardt's tires, which one of them has white paint on it from DW, and the other one has yellow paint on it from Jeff Bodine, which I thought that was funny. Rusty Wallace, he's leaking gas all over the fucking track. We see this last restart, Joe Ruttman starts off in the lead, but eventually Dale gets him back with around 55 to go. And then at this point is when the battle with Dale and DW really picks up.
Now, this is what you've seen before.
Yes, for sure. So there's another commercial break, and I wanted to note this. There are a bunch of these like very serious Coors commercials, and it turns out Mark Harmon is the one who's in them. I finally figured out in the last commercial, who the fuck is that guy? I mean, it's Mark Harmon, which is strange.
He's real fucking serious.
Yeah. Now we get into the final 10 laps, and the DW are battling really hard, and right as Earnhardt right hooks DW going into turn 3, they cut to the crowd, totally missing the shot. The top 4 all get involved, and this is where Kyle Petty gets the lead and gets the win. Now, if you also don't, yes. Now, if you don't remember this, Kyle talked about this a few different places. I know he talked about it on the Scene Vault, but apparently there was betting that was going on in the garage area between crew members and drivers and stuff. And I think like if Kyle stayed in 4th, he would have won the bet. And he was actually a little disappointed that he won the race because he lost out on like it was a few grand or something.
He was going to win more money apparently off that than the race is what the story is, I think. But either way, he's not thrilled about his first win.
Yeah. So
this feels illegal.
After everything happens, DW's got his window net down. He obviously looks bewildered and frustrated, and then Earnhardt gives a very classic Earnhardt interview saying that's just racing. You know, doesn't admit to fault.
Sure is.
You know, both DW and Dale were getting into it really hard with each other. So, you know, I guess nobody was really surprised to see things play out. But, you know, Dale wrecked himself. Like he right hooked DW, but also wrecked himself. Like he should have theoretically gone right past him, but nope, took out the whole fucking field. So. DW doesn't want to talk, and the video cuts off. They might have interviewed him, but it cuts off right before they do. That's the race. I thought it was a very fun watch. You know, again, I don't remember all the calamity at the beginning, because I think I have seen this before, but a lot of good battles throughout the race, and, you know, you do see one of the more classic 80s, you know, confrontations towards the end between DW and Dale. So I loved it. What did you guys think?
I mean, like I said, I've never seen this entire video before, the entire race, so this was a real treat. And to have the commercials in there too is it's just primo content here. I also love just like how beat the fuck up all these cars are. The whole scene is just like the track looks like shit, the cars are torn up. It's just a different era, you know. And I think that it's most definitely NASCAR, and it's visibly recognizable as such. But when you kind of do the A/B comparison with what it is now, especially with what Richmond is now, it really makes those differences between now and then so stark.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
And
crazy to put into context how even 20 years before that, or 30 years or whatever, how different NASCAR was. So yeah, this is just a perfect little time capsule of the time. And this is right around the time I started watching racing too as a very small kid. So it was nice to see this stuff again.
People mention that like all the way the cars looked and got beat up in Days of Thunder was inaccurate, but watching this race, like, I don't know, like
pretty close.
Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, this race, every time NASCAR goes to Richmond, social media overplays these clips to death of Dale cleaning the windshield and then this wreck at the end. So we've all seen those clips a gazillion times, but I don't think I've ever sat down and like watched the entire race and paid attention thoroughly to the whole thing. And the whole race is great. Like,
it's good.
The battle between Dale and Jeff and DW is great, the whole race. So seeing like watching the entire race and seeing them battle, DW and Dale, the whole time, like seeing in what leads up to that confrontation at the end was really fun. But
yeah, it gives you a lot more context.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Davey Allison is a rookie in this race in the 95, and I think he finished like 12th. So
yeah, he did well.
And this is one of his first races, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think
one of them, yeah.
One of the first Cup races, yeah.
The only thing for me is like sitting down and watching old races. Like this race was 3.5 hours, which is normal. But for me, it took me probably 6 hours to get through it because I'm the type of person, if I'm watching an old race, I will pause it every 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, shit, look at that hat. Let me see if I can find it on eBay. Oh, shit, look at that shirt. Let me see if I can find it on eBay. Oh, that jacket. Gotta pause it. Gotta look for it on eBay. So,
did you catch any fish from this one?
I saved a few things. I don't need to be spending money right now, but
yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was great. Anytime you can find a race with all the commercials like this, and it's in decent quality too, that's a rarity. Again, the NASCAR Classics channel is cool, but they don't have any of the ads or anything like that. So this definitely feels a lot more like an immersive experience to what it was like to watch Winston Cup in the mid '80s. So good fucking find. And anytime I can watch Dave Despain talk, I'm happy about it. So
Dave Despain was very upset at the end of that race. He was clearly very biased in that wreck.
Yeah.
On whose side he was on.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Did Brien leave? Did he?
I'm here.
Drive
Okay. Yeah.
I can see him out the window of the Applebee's. The car is off. The windows are up. He's just sitting in there. Like,
he's just stewing.
It's got to be brutal inside the car right now. So you can come in. Again, I'll talk to the server. Trulo and I are about to order another $10 bucket in here. And we're going to need you to drive us home. So we need you to carry us out of the Applebee's. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Man up, please.
So, you got anything else on this video of the week before we talk about next week?
I can tell you I've enjoyed this a lot more than I'm probably going to enjoy this week's Richmond race.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man, that would be, which I am. So that's my bet this week, is that this is going to be way more entertaining. But they are bringing option tires to the Cup race, so we'll see what that's all about. And if you're going to the race, which I know some of the listeners are going to Richmond for the Cup race, it's always a good time to hang out there. So, but the folks at home, hope you have a nice pillow, maybe a Snuggie or something like that. Hopefully the temperatures come down wherever you're at, and you can enjoy a nice little afternoon nap.
Well, yeah, I don't mind the Sunday night race. I hope I have power back by then so I can actually enjoy it and not watch it in my car. But
yeah, seriously,
I don't mind it being Sunday at 6, though. So I'm fine with that.
Not at all.
But the video of the week next week. So next week is Michigan, and I will be attending along with past guest, friend of the show, Mike from First 7-Inch Club. He's flying out for that with me.
Very cool.
And also, this year marks 30 years since Ernie Irvin's near-death wreck at Michigan.
No shit. It is 2024.
30 years, which makes me feel really fucking old.
Yeah.
But we're going to relive that trauma next week by So I don't know if you guys ever saw this. I obviously did, being a huge Ernie Irvan fan, but late 95, early 96, I think it might have been Christmas of 95 I got this, but there was a VHS documentary released called Miracles Happen, the Ernie Irvan story, and it documents the wreck and the comeback trail to get him back racing again. So that is on YouTube, and that's where we're going to watch it. So
cool.
Nice.
That will be up there. So have you guys seen that before?
I have. It's a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't recall. Once I start watching it, I'll be able to tell you.
It's been a while, so yeah, it's definitely. I'm looking forward to watching that again.
I definitely have not watched in at least 25 years, so I'm kind of excited to get back into it. So that'll be on the playlist. And like I said, I'll be at Michigan on Sunday. Hopefully the weather holds out this year, because last year it didn't.
Yeah.
What about you guys? You guys doing any racing stuff this weekend?
Not this weekend, just Thompson next week, and then I think I'm probably going to be staying at home until the World 100 to save my money up, because I know I'm going to be walking out of there with a big Gildan box full of Scott Bloomquist t-shirts. So kind of is what it is there.
I had to get my shit together so I can join you for that. But,
yes, you do. Yeah. We'll do a live episode from the grounds.
There you go.
Where phones don't work.
No service.
It'll sound worse than this one.
Talking into nothing.
Yeah. It'll be good, though. Mm-hmm. How about you, True Love?
Right, so
you already said you're staying inside, right? Yeah.
No, I'm just going to stay home, watch Richmond. Hopefully Hurricane Debbie doesn't fuck things up too much.
Yeah. But of course, I'll be on my couch watching the fucking Knoxville Nationals this weekend, which, by the way, friend of the program, Alex Hammett, he's down there with Jacob Allen on the Shark guys. He changed some shocks out today on that car, so we're going to see how that worked. See if he stripped him out. We're going to see how that goes and see if Jacob Allen ends up in the next county. But, you know, I've been on the horn with him constantly. He's killing it down there, having a good time. Apparently, Knoxville is everything you've heard it to be and more. And I got to get there at some point, and I recommend you do too. But that's on Dirt Vision all weekend. And, of course, like I said earlier, the North-South 100, that's another giant race. Kind of a damn shame they're on the same weekend, because both of those are things I like to watch, and I only have so much brain space to divvy up between all of my activities in life. So, yeah. But, yeah, Knoxville Nationals, just fucking watch it. Granddaddy of them all.
I'm just living vicariously through Alex's Instagram stories.
Yeah. I guess they're partying tonight since Jacob locked himself into the show last night, so I'm sure we'll have some good content from him, and we'll... Shit, we should just have him on next week. I'll talk to him, but if he's alive.
If he wants to.
If he's alive.
He'll be fine.
All right, well, with that, folks, looks like the about to wrap up here at Applebee's. So as always, you can find us on Instagram at Meet Me at Applebee's and on Twitter at Meet Me at the Bees. I am Speedway Screens on all the things, and the shop is speedwaytsj.etsy.com. Mima, what about you?
Still just me, Mom. I have nothing to plug.
Snake Mountain Meemaw.
Yep.
CJB.net.
.net, yep.
Rob Motes _unofficial is me on Instagram. I just finished tracking drums for a nice little Brady Heck honky tonk record. Of course, I mentioned Brady on the show before. It's gonna rip, so keep your ears open for that. And yeah, that's about it for me, except for the Knoxville Nationals. Just fucking watch them. Find some Ukrainian stream of it. Do it. Just fucking do it. It's gonna be great.
Cool. Well, with that, looks like the check is here. I'm gonna sneak in.
How would you know? You're in the car.
Yeah, you would.
Gonna sneak in and get a bucket on the way
come
out.
on. We just ordered some more. We already finished the one I just talked about, so we're moving fast in here. So yeah, come on in, Brien. It's all good.
Cool. Well, all right, folks. Thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to you next week.